Well, I was born in Penang, born in a village at the foothills of the Penang Hills, a village called Itam, which was overshadowed by the Kek Lok Si Temple. So that was the environment. So from our house, I could always see the silhouette of Penang Hills and the silhouette of trees out there, which I always used to imagine that there are a series of people talking to each other. So it was in a little village, all Chinese, but across the river that we have to come through on the way in is a little Malay village. So, and then there were a lot of Indians. The entrance into the village is across an Indian temple. I think the Indians probably came from Kerala. And we could always hear the bells ringing, and smell the incense that wafted across the village into our house. Our house was those open type, all ventilation, no walls, grills, that's all. So we are interacting with the natural environment all the time. Actually, architecture was sparked by my grandfather. You see, he came from Fuzhou, and all those monks that built the Kek Lok Si Temple, all from Fuzhou. They were all monks from a temple in Fuzhou that's called Gusan, Drum Hill. There's a monastery there. I've actually visited that. And so my grandfather used to take us to the Kek Lok Si Temple very much. And really, Kek Lok Si Temple in those days is very different from what it is today. Today, the temple is no longer the sort of the pristine, serene monastery that you expect to be on the hill. What you see in Penang now, the Kek Lok Si, which everybody seems to rave about, is a very bad taste. It's a bastardization of everything that is not right with society. Everything that you see there shouts out of money, money. Religion is not about money. Religion is a very personal thing between you and your creator. That's why when people ask me, what's your religion? I tell them my religion is architecture. Then they sort of take a look at the architecture. Hey, I'm talking religion. Yeah, religion is architecture to me. Because by doing architecture to its fullest, then I am fulfilling the faculties that's been given to me by the Almighty. In that respect, in that He exposed me to the temple, because the experience of walking through the temple, the various stages, what I now call the processional route, it was an unfolding drama. And I still remember, when we first when you go along, he would narrate. My grandfather was a great storyteller. He'd say, this house used to be the house of Mr. O. Mr. O was a artist. He's the one who made all the idols in the Kek Lok Si Temple and all those things, and a very creative person. Mr. O was also a Fuzhou. So my grandfather knew him, you see. And of course, Mr. O's children, one of his sons was in the customs, when we all knew the family also, I know. And in those days, when you walk up the covered walkway on the slopes of this hill, you look across the valley. There's a river down the bottom, rocks and all that, and you see the other foothills going up the Penang Hill. You know, I mean, it was so salubrious. You know, and over there was a very famous restaurant in those days. This is from the pre-war days, Chu Ling Gu. The Chu Ling Gu restaurant site now has been replaced by a hospital. Okay, and so you know, it was very dramatic. The walk up, you know, gradually, and of course, at certain times of the year, there'll be lots of beggars sitting alongside, begging money. And of course, the moment you enter the precinct of the what they call the steps, is the shop that used to sell nutmeg and hago. That was the Penang. Penang was nutmeg, different type of nutmeg oil, hago, hair pia, you know, all this stuff. And then halfway up this processional route was another shop, also selling the same sort of things. But then, so of course, during Chinese New Year, first day of Chinese New Year, early in the morning, grandfather would insist we'll have to go up to the temple to pray. And of course, he would change a lot of money. And as he go along, he'll be giving money, alms to all the beggars there. Sure. So it was really dramatic. And when you walk up, so it sort of curves around the hill. Then towards the end, when you see this huge rockwood tree, you know that you are coming to the end of the walkway. Because the moment you arrive there, then suddenly on your left-hand side is this huge flight of stairs that opens into a moon gate, and you can see through is a central atrium courtyard where 3 temple halls front onto. Right. So the moment you walk in there, he'll sort of zero in at 2 o'clock direction. In the dark corner will sit this little old monk, and he'll go straight up to him and speak to him in Fuzhou. How are you, and all that. So of course, by the time we walk up there, we all get quite thirsty. There's a little spring water that comes up through the mouth of a dragon head. So we'll always get drink a little bit of water. And that was all memories. And then from there, you go through a whole different stages, finally until you reach the foothills of the pagoda. That was all drama. And that's all etched in my mind. I recall all that very well. So besides that, he used to go to lots of shops. There are lots of Indian shops. He'll go and buy nice old panel doors from some old houses, some old windows, also old decorative basins. And then he come and he renovates the house we have in Aitam, you know. And the house keep growing. So every time he buys something back, he does it, and I would enjoy watching what he does. So I suppose that's where the interest in, you know, making things, creating things came into being. No. Collecting things is probably something that I picked up later, after I've gone to Australia. Prior to that, I did not understand. But after I came back from Sydney, during the school holidays, then when I saw we had so much of these old furniture that I told my grandparents, I said, we got to keep them, take them. And I still remember there was one day my grandparents had 2 Chinese hotels in Penang. One of them is now called Campbell House, you know, that used to belong to us. So there were about 13 rooms there, and then at Sintra Street, we had another hotel, another 13 rooms. So in every one of these rooms would have been one long bench. You know, the Hokkien call it ballet. You know what's a ballet? So they're all quite nice. So I took them all back to my parents' house. Had to get a bullock cart to put all these things back. And when I took them, my grandmother was saying, yeah, you want to take about, what do you want all these old things, you know? thank goodness I took them. My primary school was in Hiap Ho in Penang. Hiap Ho in English is Union Kindergarten at Burma Road. Then after that, I went to St. Xavier's. And I was in St. Xavier's until 15. Then I went off to another De La Salle Brothers School in Sydney, outside Sydney, a place called Castle Hill, Oak Hill College. And I was from there, and I finished my upper secondary. Well, I really don't know. I suppose it was just interest. I was always very curious. I was always very active. I was running here, running there, exploring things. And probably that was one of the reasons my mother found me a bit of a handful, that I should be sent off to boarding school to be, tame. Well, I don't know, wealthy or whatever it was. My grandparents, as I said, they had two sort of these Chinese hotels. Right? So in those days, those hotels, how much was the rental a day? 3 ringgit. So, I suppose 3 ringgit in those days was quite a lot. And the salary of the workers in the place was about $30 a day, a month. Right? My father was described in those days as a merchant. Now today, if you say merchant, I suppose people will be wondering, what are you talking about? What's a merchant? Well, he was trading. He was doing a lot of rubber, buying, selling, and he used to go to Sumatra quite a lot, and also Indonesia. So I wouldn't say that we were wealthy, but I would say that my father was astute. That after he left school, he only studied up to Form 5 Senior Cambridge. He was from Chung Ling.
Oh, wow.
And he was very active. See, for example, in 1952, that time I would have been about 8 years old. He was the president of the Penang Chung Ling Old Boys, right? And through him, they bought this building at the corner of Logan Road and Anson Road, an old colonial building, beautiful building. But then subsequently, some of the members tore it down and built a square block building that contains nothing but a badminton hall, and then it was rented out to Canon. So I don't know whether Union Building is still there, but that was the property in question. Well, when I left, I was 15 years old. And after 13 years there, you've been in a situation where you are all alone. You don't have your family. Of course, you have friends and what have you. And of course, all this time, you're not sure, are you going to stay put or you should come back? But then there's the call of home is always there. So that's why at the end of the day, if anyone says to me that, oh, you are not Malaysian, I would defend that, because all my memories are all based on my growing up in Penang, of the things that we used to do and all that. I can't think of a Chinese landscape, So bugger those people who say that I'm a pendatang or whatever fuck they talk about, Now that's what pisses me off. Those bloody morons who don't even know what they're talking about. One of the reasons why I did not go into politics is because my father was involved in the early days at the formation of Malaysia. He was very active in MCA. In fact, my father was the political secretary of MCA Penang branch with Lim Chong Yu. And in those days leading up to Merdeka, they used to have a lot of meetings in Chong Yu's house, in our house, and things like that. And when they're preparing for the Merdeka celebration, the parade, marching. There's the MCA youth was using our house, the padang in front of our house, we had quite a large one, to practice their marching. Every evening for, I don't know, a couple of months, there were hundreds of people there doing that, So that's how he was involved. But then, of course, when they had the split about number of seats, a lot of people resigned. My father resigned for MCA, and together with Chong Yu and a few others. And since then, he never went back to politics. Well, after that, my mother told my brother and I, don't you two boys ever get involved in politics. Politics is, to go into politics, you must have no principle. No, really, it's a fact. I mean, you look at all these guys, they mean nice, but they've got no principle. Absolutely no fucking principle. When it happens, I walk away from projects. I walk away from a lot of projects. See, I mean, we go into a project in good faith. In good faith, we expect you, in good faith, to also approach a project. But then when you start playing buggers, trying to say, oh, you are not doing your job, you're not pushing the project, you're not, I say, go fly kite, my friend. What's this? Now, I mean, I had a very good friend, a Chinese fella, very much into the political system, very well connected. We did a house for him. He got an old house, he tore it down, and we rebuilt the whole thing for him. Took a long time. He kept changing his mind. He stopped, he start, stop, he start. That's okay, I don't mind. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. So we went on. So we finally got the thing towards the tail end. Then what happened, he retired from his government job. Had a lot of time. You see, a lot of these people, when they get up to the top CEO of a corporation, then they suddenly retire. When they retire, they completely lose their identity. They suddenly feel that they suddenly become nobody. Before that, there was, the CEO, salam, God's second cousin. But suddenly when they retire, they are nobody. They walk into the building where they used to be the God. Nobody knows them. The sense of identity crisis. And this is a real problem. And this is something that is, I think, quite alien to our Asian culture. This huge corporation is a Western capitalist creation. And that is why at the end of the day, you end up with a lot of mentally deranged people who have gone right through to be the upper echelon of business, then suddenly, nothing. Whilst I own my practice, I keep on going on and on. Because I keep on breaching what I call the invisible intellectual ceiling. So you keep on achieving. You set your own standards. You are not dictated by someone. You say, oh, board says this. Oh, okay, board. Okay. You got. No, that's it. See, that culture is bad. See, like Singapore Corporation, Singapore, the whole structure at the end of it, you find that you got people who've gone up there, but they're all people with no character. No character and got no gumption. They'll never stick for anything. That's right. Because they're afraid to lose whatever it is. Right? So that's the thing. And that's very critical. No. Actually, I wasn't going to come back. You see, after I graduated, one of my friends who was a lecturer at the university, a very senior person who I've known for a long time, was packing, he and his family were packing. He was from Hong Kong, but Australian citizen, was packing to come to Singapore to join the NUS because he was being offered a professorship. So, I was at his house helping him to pack and all that. And I said, Jim, why don't you come back to Singapore? It'd be great fun to have you there. I said, yeah, if you're going there, it'd be great to have you there, Then he drew my attention to an advertisement that the university have just received from NUS, recruiting designers to be in their design team for the new Kent Ridge campus in Singapore. So I said, oh really? So I went there to have a look, and I read the thing. I got a photostat copy of it, and I said, it sounded very good. If you're successful, we will bring you and your family to Singapore, all expenses paid. We'll provide you housing, we'll provide you with car, drivers and what have you. The salary will be so much. You have 1 month annual leave a year, and after the duration of your 2-year or 3-year contract, I can't remember, if your contract is renewed, we will send you on a sabbatical back to your home country for 2 months sabbatical to commence and all that. I say, hey, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, if I go back there after 2 or 3 years, I don't have to go back, I come back here. So I wrote in, and in those days we have no email. I mean, each letter will take between 7 to 10 days, So we ding dong and all that, the whole process took almost a year. And in the meantime, they even arranged for me to be interviewed by someone they sent over from Singapore. I think they had quite a few candidates in Sydney. So they went over, and all that. Then they said, okay, go for medical checkup. So I went for medical checkup and all that. Then they say, oh, well, congratulations, you're successful, we'll offer you a post. I said, good, send me a contract. So, looking forward to the contract, then I can start packing and all that. Then the letter came, I opened it up, I had a look. I say, oh, I suppose, the expression that came out of my mouth would be same like what Lim Go Tong would say lah. Wow, CNN, CNN, wow. The first statement says, Dear Mr. Lim, for all intent and purpose, you shall be deemed to have been recruited from across the causeway. I say, WTF, what's this? I wrote back. They said, oh, you are a Malaysian, so we can only offer you a Malaysian contract. So I said, I told you my daughter was born in Australia, my home of domicile and repatriation was back to Sydney. Then WTF, what are you talking about across the causeway? Where across the causeway do I find an address? You bloody moron, Singapore. So then they say, oh, I said, if you have told me about this, then I will change my Malaysian passport and become an Australian. And then, you give me an expat contract. But they don't. So, oh no, you come back and then we can talk about it. I say, forget it, keep your contract. That's it. So then, of course, my mother was very disappointed. He kept sending me newspaper cutting. In those days, a lot of vacancies, no architect. So I got an advertisement from a firm in KL, so I applied, got the job, and came back. So the first project I was entrusted to do was the Motorola Subang Sungai Way. That was the first ever semiconductor factory in Malaysia, or for that matter in Southeast Asia, because in those days semiconductor was very, very new. And even the name Motorola, it sounds so funny, See, Motorola had started from Phoenix, Arizona, Then the first plant outside Phoenix they built was, I think, in France, Toulouse. Then from Toulouse, they then built another one in Scotland, just between Glasgow and Edinburgh, I think. Then after that, they decided to come over to Asia. They went to Seoul, South Korea. So they built a plant there. And then after that, they decided to come to KL. So we were the fourth semiconductor factory outside. So, but see, they were building these factories very fast. We had about 4 months to design everything and 6 months to build it, that factory.
Amazing.
Yeah. So can you imagine? So they are building like that. That means within a matter of about 5-6 years, they built 4 factories. Well, I mean, it's not natural, quite straightforward. I mean, it's like you've been playing first trumpet in an orchestra of 150 people. Now you become a soloist and you're playing jazz. So what's the difference? So in there, you fit in with this whole thing, and then now you express yourself, that's all. The skill is there. Well, it's not a decision. I think a lot of people try to organize their life. Oh, I want to be like this. I don't. I take life as let it be. All right? Let it be, let it go, move on. Don't look back, never look back. So, when I came back, I was entrusted with this project. So, I worked on this project. I developed a certain skills, which until today, I'm still very good at it. And I dare say that you put me up with any engineer or architect on industrial building design, I can still give them a run for their money, all right? Because the amount of diligence, the system that you develop is very important. See, at that time, we were dealing with the Americans. The Americans of the 1970s are quite different from the Americans of today. When you listen and watch what the Americans do today, you realize that they've lost the plot. But those Americans in those days, they were serious people. Do you know, to set up this Motorola factory, they only sent 3 guys out here. They sent the GM, the financial controller, and the facilities controller. Only 3 people, and they set up that big factory. The facilities controller is a guy who knows all about the setup of the operations. The financial controller knows about costing and management, and also about the operations, the costing of each section and whatever. Then the GM, he knows the overall macro picture. That's how powerful they were. And it was really great. So because of that, I had to perform. I had to really come up to the standard to show them the due diligence. So during this period, you have to assume 3 very fundamental, basic principles about life. Number 1, sense of responsibility, followed by a sense of diligence. Then third is a sense of urgency. If you have these 3 qualities in your life, nothing will go wrong. No, see, I was with this firm, Project Architect, for about 5-6 years. I came back in 72. I only set up my own practice in 78. So I was there for about 6-7 years. Now, you see, now after the Motorola, I was involved in the construction of the Day 1 Civic PJ, you know, the funny looking building.
Wow. Okay.
Then I was involved, Indonesian embassy, you know, opposite RSGC. Then the Shaw Brothers Center in Pudu, the huge thing. Then the Citibank headquarters building at Medan Pasar. which is now called Wisma Marang. So these were some of the major projects I was handling during that time for the firm, right? And so when I decided to leave at that time, I left. Oh, and also we were at that time doing the grandstand extension to the Penang Turf Club in Penang. And also in Penang, we were building a factory for Dragon and Phoenix at Rifle Range. So these were some of the projects I was doing. So when I came on my own, the Penang Turf Club project came to me, so I saw that. And after that, a whole bunch of other things that came in now. You just take whatever comes along.
Yeah.
Then we ended up doing a lot of projects for the Genting people, and we ended up doing Moss, Awana 1, 2, 3, Awana Genting, Awana Kija, Awana Langkawi, and then the Wisma Genting head office. So we don't do too many big buildings, but then the Pacific Bank, which is now KL 33 opposite Shangri-La, and we were doing also work for the Tote Board, where Astro head office is now. That whole complex used to be the totalization, Tote Board's off-course betting. So we did the off-course betting facilities, Sumabisi's off-course betting facilities in Kuantan. Well, the PAM Award, the first award was 1983, I think, for the timber house in the rubber estate. Then after that, we won quite a few PAM awards. Well, I won the Aga Khan Award in 1998. And then in 2002, I won the GETS Singapore Institute of Architects Award. Those are the two. But then the reason why I've stopped doing all this is because it's very time consuming. And you spend a lot of money, time. What's the point, I mean, you know what you're doing and you maintain your standard and that's it. So, awards is good when you're starting up. It's good for the young ones. But then, very important, the standards, the criteria must not be compromised. Very often it's compromised. Yeah, well, that's very tough. It's very tough. I mean, like I was telling you about that project. See, after the guy retired from government, he had a lot of time. So he started coming to the site meetings. And of course, since you're the owner, when you come to a site meeting, we give you respect now. Okay, Tan Sri, this Tan Sri. So he starts directing this person, that person, directing how the meeting should be conducted. Fine, that's all right. It's your house. You are the owner. You have the right to do and say whatever you want. Hard to get Cuban nowadays. You see, since China opened up and the Chinese people discovered things like wine, champagne, and all this stuff, Cuban cigars also became very expensive.
Yeah.
Because short supply.
Even champagne,
Yeah, because they just sapu everything, And so the best, but then in a way it's good because it meant that all the other cigar makers around the West Indies, Nicaragua, Honduras, who else? Other people all start to manufacture more. And now I find that the Nicaraguan are not bad. Right? Of course, if I were to be traveling near Spain, I would buy Cuban because Cuban cigar are very cheap in Spain and Portugal. my work, architecture, creating things, testing. You see, every time you breach your IIC, you get a sense of satisfaction. You know how the IIC works? If you can imagine, or should I draw on a piece of paper? Can you imagine? You can. So if you have the X and the Y axis, we start from 0. 6 years old, you're kindergarten. 18, you pass your senior Cambridge. So you keep going up. Then you go to university, you pass your bachelor's, you get a degree, then you go and work. So your graph goes up. Now, most of us, the graph would go up to until 40 or around that 50. Then you start to plateau off. Some people may plateau off earlier. So go up, then plateau off, then might go up a little bit, plateau. And then once it plateau, you start to slide into mediocrity. That's end game now. So what I do, when I do a project, every time I finish a project at a certain stage, I move the X and Y axis, I move the 0 up to that point. So where I have reached becomes 0, 0 again. So when you set that as your 0, 0, then you are compelled to strike up again. You know, shit, I'm still at 0, 0. I have to go up. Then by the time you reach the next project, so this is why my whole career path, I have charted all the different points where I've broken new grounds. So like people say to me, what's your best project? Is next one to coming, because I am breaking my IIC. Right? And that's how it is. Yeah, it's next one coming. So everyone is challenging new ideas. Then life is worth living. Well, I mean, there are lots of landmark projects that I've made. So a lot of houses, the houses that have won awards and things like that, my timber houses, tropical lifestyle sort of stuff. Yeah, definitely climate, definitely, but most important, the users' requirements. This is why I say at the end, I think in my career, I've met a lot of very interesting people. You would think that people who are educated, industrialists, they call themselves very wealthy, very whatever, But when it comes down to basic, their true colors come out, and it's not nice. Yeah? Like I was telling you halfway about this person. You go to projects, you take over, we respect you. But then when the project starts to fall behind time, because you go into a project, lots of these people, they talk and they talk and they talk. They can't stop themselves from talking. A lot of these people who work for the government, they only love to hear their own bloody voice. They don't, so nothing gets done. 3 hours meeting, okay, all right, time to go now. All right, all the things I want to direct, I can't get it done because you have dominated everything and everybody ought have time. So then the bastards would then have the darn cheek to write to me, oh, the project is running behind time. Oh, you are not managing the project or coordinating work on site. Wow, when things like that, So I thought to myself, I said, is it worth carrying on? No, I resigned. Towards the end, you see, you have designed everything with a certain design concept, befitting his stature. What is? And you do it. Then he comes in, he's going to start save money. No, this such a thing. All right, you change, fine. I respect, it's your money. But when you start putting blame onto me, hey, friend, that's when I get vicious. So I resign. Or things like that. I just walk away. I'm not interested. I don't give a F. But other architects will carry on. No, man, it's okay. I'll bend over for you. I don't do that. So when he wrote me a letter, I wrote back. I said, dear sir, despite my years as an architect, I now realize I'm not competent enough to go to do your project, and therefore I resign immediately. Wow, he got so angry. Wow, 頂你個肺啊！你點樣會咁樣做啊？哇！你睇我唔起我乜嘢乜乜咯。So he wrote back and scolded me. You're irresponsible. How can you opt out at the end of a project like this, like this, like this? I said, dear sir, when we started the project, I thought you wanted a Mercedes class project. We would have been quite happy if you had settled for a Volvo. But when you decide to go for a Sungai BC Proton, this is when we part our ways. Wow, he really got damn pissed off with me. No lah, design was there to talk about. Nothing to talk about. What you like, other people don't like, ma. See, the thing is this. It probably all started because, like I say, I'm very busybody. When I was young, I was very inquisitive. You know, you're inquisitive, so your mind's always thinking, what about this, what about that, what about this, you know? Like the latest thing that we're thinking about is the way high-rise buildings in Singapore are being designed and built as an answer to social, political, economic solution works. Yeah, it works in Singapore. You take it out of Singapore, it will not work. Yeah. You know, you see, you have a high-rise building going 30, 40 stories. When you come down, anyway, what have you got? Yeah. Nothing. You come down, you have traffic congestion, this, to go to the shop, you got to, there are no buses to take, no trains, no taxis. Now lucky got Grab. You got no cars. So that Singapore model only applies in Singapore. Because the moment you come down, they got buses, they got trains, they got shops nearby, you can walk, they got marketplace. Everything is within there. Yeah. So it's sustainable and it's supported life, but not elsewhere. So someone in Colombo tries to put up a building to resemble what they've got in Singapore. It would not work. Right? So this is something which I think about and I talk about. Well, okay, let's go back to fundamental. Many years ago, I developed the philosophy towards architecture. I adopt the philosophy of what I call architecture of humility. Right? Why humility? Because it's only when you're humble that you can listen. When you're prostrated on the ground in humility to Almighty, that's when you can see things at ground level. You learn, you look at environment, you look at nature, you look at culture, you look at tradition, you look at skills, you look at material availability, the functions and what have you. In humility, you understand. But when you are flying up in the air, just because you fly over an airport, you can't say, oh, I have a working knowledge of the airport. That's bullshit. So after you have, in humility, adopted, understood, evaluated, and analyzed all the requirements, then you engage yourself in the Tai Chi of architecture. So you start with the architecture of humility, followed by the Tai Chi of architecture. Tai Chi, why Tai Chi? Because Tai Chi to me is like Kung Fu. You overcome your enemy by using their strength. You don't use your strength. So it's just like when you have two sumo wrestlers, they outdo each other by smashing into each other, and then, but the person who is a bit smarter, he does a slight sidestep, the other person goes out. The chi, you use the other person's chi. Your chi is to understand what you want to do, and you use the other side. So, just like the American cowboys, rodeo, see how the wild horse come charging and then they want to get, he sidestep, he grab the horse, jumps on top, then the horse jumps down, then the horse quietens down. Then he rides the horse up the mountain to a stream, a grassland. He gets off the horse, he takes a packet of Marlboro and have a smoke. You see, but people are very funny. I'll tell you another example of a client. I chucked the project away. I've gone through the whole thing, designed a very big house in Country Heights by the lake. So design everything, but interview the master, the mistress, the children. They have grown up children. Well, so give them a house, everything's very good. So I said, okay, so you approve the design? Yeah, very good. I said, we can submit. Oh, no. I said, why? We must now consult the feng shui master. You see, if you had wanted to consult the feng shui master, she have told us earlier, then we could have worked with the feng shui master all the way through, right? And then, finally, you end up a product that's based on feng shui, and no. They want you to do everything right now, finish, then the feng shui master. So I say, who is the feng shui master? Oh, Yap Cheng Hai. Oh, Yap Cheng Hai. Okay, my old friend. Yeah. I've known Yap Cheng Hai many years already. So, Yap Cheng Hai very busy, ma. Oh, that time I was doing project in Penang and all that. So one day he called me and said, hey, Yap Cheng Hai is free on Wednesday night or something. I said, but I'm in Penang, I can't make it. Oh, no, you must. Cheng Hai very hard to get. I said, no, I'm in Penang. He said, never mind, I'll buy a plane ticket for you to come and then you go back. Okay, he got me a plane, fine. Then when it came down, where we having dinner, took us to this, in those days, Imbi. There's one restaurant, Shark's Fin. Only Shark's Fin. I was thinking to myself, bloody hell. Feng Shui master is taking a Shark's Fin. Architect, they don't even buy you a lunch. So we met up with Cheng Hai lah. Have a big makan, Shark's Fin, abalone lah, this lah, then bao chi lah. Then after that, okay, let's show Cheng Hai. So show Cheng Hai. Because I've known Cheng Hai for a long time, I know his method. So in a way, I've also injected some of these things that I picked up. No, we went home, as usual. He doesn't use his law pun. He always go like that, he put numbers. He write numbers. Okay, good. He check. So after that, everything is good. Bedroom is good, the bed facing the right way, front door good, everything good. So I was very happy lah. Next morning, caught the plane back to Penang. So when I was in Penang, in that afternoon, I got a call from this guy. I said, oh, this guy, good, my client. So we can submit plan now. So he called me up. Hey, Jimmy. I said, yeah, good. So we can, oh, no, wait. I said, why? My wife was thinking, can you give us a few more designs? I said, excuse me? She wants the house to have a different look. I said, but we have gone through everything. The feng shui master said, okay, now you want me to change some more? He said, my wife, she wants to see a few. Because you see, I normally don't give people lots of design. Because for me, I analyze everything. I walk you through every stage. Like this, you wanted this. I got you like that, you wanted this, like that. So I fit everything in. Now she wants a design different. Yeah. That means she wants you to Mickey Mouse here, Mickey Mouse there, Mickey Mouse there. So let you pick all the Mickey Mouse. Which Mickey Mouse do you like? So I told him, I said, no. I said, I can't do that. I said, I think you better get yourself another architect. That's it. Well, I don't know. Now, you know my family, you know my children. So what's your evaluation? Well, it's not what I think. I mean, it's how people judge you. You cannot say, hey, I'm like that, society, you like that. We don't think you like that. What are you going to say? You see? So I suppose both their mothers also have played a role, Or someone organized, they were having a dinner party. Then, what was it? I can't remember. Was it a Christmas party in Penang? That time I'd gone back. I don't know anybody. So they'll say they'll get me someone to meet, and that's how I met her. No, I mean, she has her own thing. She go do her own thing, and I do my own thing. So, we don't clash. So you see, like my granddaughter, now is learning violin from her, and she's going to be very good. So that's good. My son's an architect. I don't know grandchildren. How my influence, they don't want my influence. Because I'm too hard, I'm too decisive. I don't stand nonsense. I don't stand fools. Maybe people say that there are more ways to skin a cat. Yes, I know there are more ways to skin a cat, but the way the architectural profession have been skinning a cat, they end up losing the cat. Yep. So the profession is not in a good state. Those are fleeting things. Now, the reason why the profession is not in a good state is it starts from the education. The education system, not only Malaysia, globally, has become very, very weak. There are too many people who are teaching architecture are not qualified, right? And a lot of the so-called lecturers and senior professors have never actually practiced architecture. So a lot of the students are only being taught the theoretical aspect. So when they come out, they miss the subtleties of what architecture is all about. Then the other thing is, because of the political situation in this country, where people are generally taught not to talk back. Never mind, it's okay, let them say their say. That professionals become very timid. When the client tell them to do shit, they will do shit. That's no longer professionalism. Right? So that's it. See, you got a bunch of your engineers or architects. The client say, do it this way, they will do it this way. Then you got the other set of professionals in this country, doctors and dentists, who they tell you do this, you follow them, and they are giving you shit, and you end up killing yourself. And so in both spectrum of the profession, you get one, they give you all bad advice and you follow them. The other, they don't give advice, they follow the clients. And this is what's the problem in this country. So when I was president of PAM 35 years ago, I think I wrote a lot of editorials and comments about things and issues, which until today is still relevant and pertinent. And I've got compiled one lot, you know. There are quite a lot, about 55 articles. I've got them compiled, but not published. Well, actually, there were 4 founding members. The one who motivated was really the late Tan Sri Mobin Shepherd, then the late Justice Harun Hashim, and architect Chen Vun Phi and myself. We are the 4 founding. So all the 3 of them have passed away. I'm the only one still here on this planet. So we founded the Badan Warisan Malaysia. We were the 4 founding directors and trustees. Yeah. Well, you know, back then in the early 1980s, a lot of old buildings were being threatened in Kuala Lumpur. The first one was the old courthouses at Court Hill, which is Bukit Mahkamah, where Maybank is now. The whole complex of old colonial buildings, among a lot of rain trees. They were going to demolish that to build Maybank. So that was one of the buildings. Then the other building was a PAM building at that time, because we were occupying, the architects were occupying the building, PAM building. But the PAM building was actually, before PAM, it was the Peninsula Hotel. And before the Peninsula Hotel, it was the Empire Hotel. And before it was the Empire Hotel, it was the home of Lok Chau Kit. So you see, that building had a huge history, but is now preserved.
Oh, good.
That was where Chau Kit lived, and that was where they produced opium. See, Chau Kit also owned the industrial court building. I think they've changed it now. It's by the river, you know, near the Lok Yu building, is it? Is it Lok Yu building? Huh? Yeah, the industrial court. Then, but before it became the industrial court, it was the first departmental store in KL. All right? Now, in those days, the river was still navigable. So all the goods for his, what they call, departmental store, used to come upriver. And then you stop by the river, and the sides of the river, now the back of the, you know, there's a road that goes behind the post office and state secretary. There were steps that went down to the river. So that's how they used to get their goods up there. Yeah. So that's what it was. See, the boats used to come up from Port Klang up to Kajang. Okay? Kajang in those days was the first outpost of the British. And that's why the Kajang district was one of the first districts from Port Klang. And Mobin Shepherd actually was the DO of the Kajang district at one stage. Then from Kajang, you go upriver 15 miles to Brickfields. You know the Chinese name for brickfields? The Chinese nowadays, you talk to the old people, you tell them Sapmpei. Sapmpei is 15th mile in Chinese Cantonese. Why 15 miles? In those days, they used to refer from Kajang. So that's the name of brickfields. I mean, they are there. So go to Sapmpei. You come to a taxi, Chinese say Sapmpei, they'll take you there. Yeah. Well, it's simple. Culturally, the Malays have no affinity with history, except for the royal families, all the Malay. That's why, because of their religion and their culture, they only recognize their father, right? And so this is where the dichotomy is. We're having this conflict all the time. No, you see, people like conservation, but then again, you see, the Malaysian character, or the Chinese say sinker, you know, we are always very afraid. Don't tell too much. Don't share too much. You tell them that they know, then they become cleverer than you. Come on, please. You are not, your brain is not dead. So, people used to tell me, hey, don't give your ideas away to the young ones. They take your idea. I say, don't worry. By the time I can share my ideas with them, my current thinking is 20 years ahead already. So they'll never catch up. It's true. Until today, still no one has caught up with me. And that's very important. You see, Badan Warisan in those days, why did we want to preserve things? So that we have a track history of what transpired before, so that the young people can know. So we thought, after Badan started in KL, we can start Malacca. So we got a chapter started in Malacca. The Malacca chapter was headed by Yi Tiang Heng. Yi Tiang Heng is from the famous Yi family. They were the custodian of the huge temple in Malacca, you know, Jonker Street there. He was the representative, he came up here. But then, after a while, he emigrated to Australia, so some other people took over. So we had a Malacca chapter, but it did not function very well. Then we tried to start with Ipoh. We went to Ipoh, we saw Dato Hamza Azizi. He was the state secretary of Perak. So he was very keen. We tried to work, but in that time, nobody in Perak was interested. You see, that was in the 1980s. Now, 2024, Taiping is so interested in their heritage. They are celebrating their 150th or 180th year. They've got people there, they've got Taiping Heritage Society, but they are easily 40, about 40 years behind Badan. Yeah. But had someone taken over from Dato Hamza Azizi at that time, you know, they would have done a lot of things. But at least one project which Badan did, which they now still have preserved, is the old Istana Nga Ibrahim, which is now a museum of some sort. So that's it. Then I was asked to approach Penang. So went up to Penang. I went to see this good friend of Tan Sri Mubin Shepherd, Mr. Cunningham Brown. Cunningham Brown was one of those, he was French descent or something, but connected with the Brown family. You know the Brown family in Penang? The Brown family in Penang were the biggest nutmeg, clove, and gambia plantation. There's a big padang in Penang called Padang Brown. Padang Brown. That was donated by them, and there's a huge cenotaph near the Medan Selera. Then in Bukit Gulugo, where the Malayan Teachers Training College is, there was an old building there. That was their home. I think that was called the Coombs Hill. And that whole area, Mount Gambier, they all were part of the Brown family thing. And before DAP or Pakatan won the Penang seat, there was a big hoo-ha about a development on Taman Buah Pala. See, Taman Buah Pala was a piece of land that was given by the Brown family to the Indian workers when they left, so that they got, somehow or other, these Indian workers, the thing was held in trust by the state government. But somehow, under Koh Su Kun's time, somehow the land was alienated to a developer. So there was a big fight. And I still remember Anwar went up there to get involved, and he promised the headman, we win Penang, you will get your land back. Like hell they got. The project was finalized, finally given to the developer. They built huge development, and the developer is now enjoying all his gains and living in Pantai Hills, having Maserati, huge cars all parked in front of his house. Every time I see that, I say, this is money from Buah Pala. Now, so Cunningham Brown was from that area. Then he said, yes, we will be very happy. But then at that time, Penang already had the Penang Heritage Trust. The president was Amy Hia. Amy Hia was actually from the Chung family. She was actually Amy Chung. She's a sister of Eddie Chung and David Chung, the badminton player. But she married Johnny Hia. Johnny Hia is an architect, and he's also the son of Hia Ju Xiang, very famous people in Penang. And I told her, she said, yeah, it sounds good. I said, but let me consult my immediate past president, Lim Chong Kiat. Of course, the moment you talk to Lim Chong Kiat said no. Because at that time, Chong Kiat was in the midst of demolishing how many thousand old houses to build Komtar. The Komtar development until today is the single largest scar in Malaysian heritage. Actually, Penang, if they are smart, they should now reverse what was wrongly done, demolish Komtar, reclaim and rehabilitate the whole triangular section that had been cut out. Because Penang now, you got UNESCO site north. Then where Komtar is like a wedge that's cut. Then you got the southern part. The southern part from Magazine Road all the way down to Sunderland Street. Magazine Road is 頭條路, 頭條路, 二條路, 三條路, 四條路, 五條路, until 七條路. That area was the enclave of the Nyonya Baba settlement in Penang. Now, that part of the history is never recorded, never told. And people in Penang don't even talk about it. Where Komtar is, used to be a river. That river, I call that the riverine history, is the most important history of Penang, and nobody talks about it. If you go along that street, you find the oldest Chinese school, Zhonghua Xue Xiao was there, Lei Tek Xiao was there, Chong Fat Si's factory was there, the Lim Ma Chai family's oil Everything was there. You see, along the river, and then next to it, Carnarvon Street, that used to be all paddy fields. Next to Carnarvon Street, Malay Street, that used to be where the abattoir is, where they slaughter the cows. And all that, And then further on is a place where they dry salt fish. So all the names in Chinese, Tai Gu Ao, Lam Chan Na, Kiam Hu Tia, Yaka, and then another place where they were. See, these were all the places that the Europeans did not settle. The Europeans settled up at the Georgetown proper. See, so this is something very important. Someone got to do a research on that. Yeah. I've been asking for it. So there you are. You're talking about history. That's Penang history. Now you know why. You see, people are always very frightened to share. Oh, this is my area. You don't come in. You people KL, you go KL. Yeah, I say I'm from Penang. Oh no, but you're in KL. But I've got lots of knife on my back. Do you ever heard of a credit card called MasterCard? Do you know I was a master architect in the MasterCard advertisement? Now there's something, you see, history. Now I was approached to appear in the MasterCard ad. So there are people from Hong Kong. So why is it? No, they want to do a master series, master musician, master craftsman, master carpenter, master. Right? So we thought architect. So I was thinking, why do they select architect? Why don't they select master dentist? Who wants to get a master dentist? Look at it, or master this or master that. So I say, well, if I appeared in the advertisement, this was 1989, long time ago, and before you were born, I thought about it. I say, why do they want to pick an architect? Why don't they pick an architect from Hong Kong? Why not from Singapore? Why come to KL? So, at the end of the day, I say, well, if I advertise, I'm not advertising me. I'm just advertising their product. So, I agreed. So, of course, after that, wow, big video on TV, sports event. It's a world thing, Time magazine, you open out center page of Time magazine. Wow, that's me there. So the theme was master architect, master card. For the master architect, what's important to him is his cultural heritage, Malay heritage. That was all on it. Oh, Board of Architects, oh, red eye, oh, you're advertising. So charge me, want to charge me for disciplinary action. We found that you have advertised yourself and described yourself in the superlative manner, and therefore we want investigation, so prepare for hearing. Then later on, they say, oh, following our letter, we now change your charge to, in the behavior, in the opinion of the board, is disgraceful or unbecoming. Disgraceful and unbecoming. Could be I walk past the Prime Minister and I fart, oh, that's unbecoming. Or I walk past your wife and I burp, oh, that's disgraceful. But I have not broken the rule. You see, those bastards, I say those bastards in Lembaga Architect, they only wanted to get me because I always speak out. I call a spade, and I told the Lembaga Architect they had no balls. They never defended the profession. All they did was to whack the architects, go after architects, but never for a profession. When buildings collapse, does the board come out and say, we shall investigate? Now, at this present moment, we have built a huge hospital in, is it Serdang? Which is in the news at the moment. The latest hospital costs how many billions, with the top cardiovascular facilities, surgeries to do all this. And you know, ever since the hospital is built, not one of those surgeries can be used. It's sitting there and unoperational. Don't believe me, you people go and check on it. All right? I keep up with news. So what happened? They now have to still use the old surgery in the old hospital. Wow. 2 surgeries and only one is operational. The other one not working. Aircon don't work. Now, when a big building like that, you would think that the board would say, let's investigate. What role did the architect play? And to say, if the architect's role had been diminished, then the board of architects say, why was his role diminished? Who approved it? Who gave the application for certificate of fitness? Did the architect apply for it? If the architect applied, how did he approve it when the 4 surgeries are not functioning? Now, this is what the board is supposed to do, but in Malaysia, everything is swept under the carpet. Don't talk about just the board, LCS, our battleship, boasted. You know, all this is what Malaysia is all about. So, boleh, syabas. Yeah, I'm outspoken. Yeah, to a certain extent, you see. And that's it, because I don't care. I've always been a fighter. Well, 2 things. If you want to go into business, stay in Malaysia. Any business. You want to stay, you go and sell char kway teow, you go and sell rojak, stay in Malaysia, because you do a good rojak, you have a good business. If you want to work for someone, go to Singapore. Stay in Malaysia, you work for someone, you won't survive. In Singapore, you go to an office, you get 3,000 Sing, you bring it back here, it's worth about 12,000. You stay here, if you're a hawker, you have 600 people buying your rojak a day at 5 ringgit rojak, 600, that's how much? That's 3,000 ringgit. 10 days, 30,000. Okay? In a month, you get 90,000. So to be a hawker, stay in Malaysia. To be a businessman, to be a politician, stay on in Malaysia. If you want to takung, cari makan, work for company, go to Singapore. Architecture, if you want to, what do you call, start on your own, it's okay. If you want to do good architecture, you suffer like me. I've had 2 open heart surgeries. But if you want to be those commercial fellows, but important thing, if you're in architecture, you must get a Bumi Putra partner. With a Bumi Putra partner, it's like the Western saying, have gun will travel. Have Bumi Putra partner will travel. Whatever that is left behind will already be in books that's been written, 1 line, 2 lines, that's all. That's all you can hope for, and for whatever you've done, and that sort of thing. But the important thing is your own satisfaction. It's not all about what you can leave behind, what you can give. You've done charity work, great. You see, for example, when Najib was the Menteri Besar of Pahang, he decided that for the people of Pahang, he's going to build a lot of this masjid kayu for the villagers. So they got me to design. So we did that, and I went to, so after talking to him, I said, okay, I said, you're Bugis, then you should send me to Sulawesi, go and study the heritage. So I went to Ujung Pandan, was there for about 5 days, looked around, did a bit of research on the Bugis architecture, Bugis heritage. So I came back, made some proposals for them. So they adopted 2 of the designs, the large design and the smaller one. Then they start to manufacture it by Mentiga, they prefab, and then the thing could be just shipped up to the different villages, and they just put it up there, all in kayu. But then you see, in those days, our engineers cannot design in timber. Even today, most of our engineers still cannot design timber, because cari makan ma. I design everything. Steel is very easy. I mean, concrete, like that, finish. Timber, you got to know what timber is. So to design those timber masjid, we had to bring in an Australian engineer from Sydney to work out the timber sizes for us. That's how deficient we are in terms of quality. Our people here are too afraid to specialize, to be an expert in a field. And they all claim they are, but they are not. At the end of the day, it's very sad. And they all feel, oh, this is our dome. So now a lot of our people here always like to claim their birthrights. Oh, this is my area. I cannot share with you. Yeah, the knowledge, it's my knowledge. Hey, if you're so good, why is that so frightened? Tell people what you want to do. You see, for example, during the COVID period, me and my team, we worked on this concept of a new typology of building called kampong condominium. Right? So we are talking about a development that has all the modern things that you want, like in the condominium, all the facilities. But yet, it embodies all the elements and the spirit of the kampong. So people living in there can still interact. Children can run around, and these are all on high rise. Not very high, but say up to 8 stories. New idea. Who's going to do it? Who will be the first one to try and do it? Things like that now. You know something? The architects, Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia, also, at that time, when we were going to monorail, I was asked to give an interview to the press. So I gave the press an interview. Wow, after that, Mayor of Kuala Lumpur got so upset at what I said. He called Pam up. Who is this architect, Jimmy Lim? You should sack him. Oh, so all the people in Pam, people like Kington Lu, you've heard of Kington Lu? No. Kington Lu, Sito Kok In, Tan Eng Kiong, K.C. Chiang, all these buggers, all shook, all their balls were shaking. Then they all called an emergency meeting. At that time, Ken Young was just a newly elected president, scared shit. So went for a meeting. They all had a meeting, never called me in to explain why. Meeting. Then Raja Durai, the executive secretary of PAM, left the meeting. As he came out, I still remember I was waiting there, hoping that they'll call me in, at least I explained what's wrong. Never. He came out, dash off. I said, hey, Raja, where are you? Oh, no, I've got to go to the Straits Times and Star. Wow, next day, advertisement. PAM apologies to Tan Sri Elias Omar, Dato Bandar Ulama, Jimmy Lim, although a council member of PAM, on the matter of the MRT article in the newspaper, White Elephant, was speaking on his own behalf and not on behalf. Wow, bloody hell. They put an advertisement, I tell you. Now you can see why the profession's gone downhill. You have so many people who are no bloody balls. That's why I tell you, until today, they are still the same. They've got new team now, but they're all castrated. You're a Lone Ranger lah. Lone Ranger. You only have your good friend, Toto. No, you see, the thing is this. It's conviction. Conviction. You see, I think my conviction probably was molded when I was in the Catholic boarding school. I was in a Catholic boarding school for 4 years in Sydney. I was not a Catholic. I'm still not a Catholic because I refused to join an organized religion. Because to me, religion is between me and God. So during that, they always teach you about moral fiber, integrity, stand and be counted. So I suppose I've that. But I don't have good PR. That's why I can never survive in politics, and things like. So I know I've had a lot of all these skirmishes, throughout my career. I mean, like in Penang, Lim Guan Eng sued me. Remember that? Over the Botak Hill thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we won. Stupid fella. That's why I tell you, I look at him now and I look at him straight like I don't know him. No respect for him. No respect. I mean, it can change, but then the whole emphasis is all on money, And he does things like he does shady deals here and there and all that, and yet he put himself as clean as whistle. No lah, that's hypocrisy. That's hypocrisy. That's why I'm glad the author who wrote Lim Kit Siang's autobiography, You see, like Yi Tuan Chai has a lot of good things to say about the father, Kit Siang. Yeah, because that was once after the book was published, or at the launch, they were sitting on the table, and this fella Ki Beng something, Ong Ki Beng, Wee Ki Beng, not politician. He was one of the think tank. He's now head of Siri in Penang. What's it? Wee Ki Beng, Wee Ki Beng, Dato. He got a Dato ship now. Okay. Wee Ki Beng, yeah, and then he was in Singapore for a long time with ISIS or something. Then he now is in Penang. So they're talking. He asked Tuan Chai, so are you, now that you have finished Kit Siang's biography, are you going to write one on Guan Eng? Fuck, he said, I could kill the guy. I forgot what was his reply. He gave a very clever reply.
You were there?
I wasn't there. No, I mean, Tuan Chai told me that. So I think I've had a very colorful career. I've enjoyed myself. There is a slight. I hope the young people would have more gumption, right? But how many people today dare to speak out, right? But then on the other hand, what is there to speak up? You look at the hypocrisy around the world. You look at what's happening in Gaza. I mean, it's so bad. That, you see, now that at my age, suddenly I realize all those value systems that we were taught when we were young in school through Christianity, it's all lopsided. Yeah. When Bush was going to attack Iraq, what did he say? Oh, I read the Bible every morning and I speak to God for guidance. What hypocrite. Oh my goodness. I hope our government don't become, I see Anthony Lok becoming a little bit like that. Having tasted power. Every time they taste power, it goes to their head. You see, like you go to the airport. Now the airport is still in its sorry state 2 years ago. The train is still not functioning. Yeah. Why aren't heads rolling? Why aren't people hauled up? And then suddenly they charge the chairman, ex-chairman of Bowsted to court. The guy asked for the court to dismiss the charges against him by MACC because of his poor health. You fucker. Because your poor health, you should not be charged. Did you ever think of this when you're stealing money? Huh? That's what the thing. I thought even dime, you think he's going to die. They just take the fire extinguisher and paint it white. I don't know. Dime's wife is called Nyama. That's why, you see, I came back at that time when the new economic policy was introduced. Then they introduced the rule, I have a Bumiputra partner. So I was telling myself, hey, I've been away for 13 years. How do I get a Bumiputra partner? I don't know. I would not even get a partner because my thinking is so different. My work ethics is so different. The amount of intensity I put in, So I said, no, I'm not going to have a Bumiputra partner. I'm going to just do what I have to do. Then I end up doing things like that for the Aspa, Amana Saham Pahang, the masjid. Suddenly they were, it is done by a non-Bumiputra. It's not even a Muslim. How can you do all the masjid? The masjid will build. You want to tear it down? Well, no. Everybody's story will be very insightful. Now, I have actually suggested to Bobby, from what he has done now is very good. Yeah. I spoke to him that day when he was here. You should now take it one step further. Once you keep it digital, that is good. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you must have something visible. Yeah. So I told him one project that I have been thinking of, which I think if someone like him with his connection can pull off, be great. Get hold of a big piece of land, cheap land, 20 kilometers out of KL, maybe near Nilai Cemetery or something like that. Subdivide that piece of land into 10 plots. Each plot about 4 or 5 acres. Then you get different corporation to buy the lot, and each one to put up a structure that can be used as a museum of some sort. Right? So I don't know Bobby's family now. Maybe they can take one, he can build one, and he can name it after his father, Wong Ki Tat Museum. And maybe Car Motors can build one for Lo Bun Siu. Genting can buy one, So you have 10 huge museums to kick off. Yeah. Then every one of them to put whatever they have in there. Each of these museums should be 200,000 square feet. And each one of them allocate 50,000 for their own. So it becomes a center of heritage. Yeah. That's your Taman heritage. All right? So then things like this thing you have done, this could be parked in one of the repository. Yeah. Then people going, they can see all these things. Yeah. Then what you do can become visible. Or else, then we should have a museum of entrepreneurs. This country did not become what it is overnight. Now, we should go through and list down the number of entrepreneurs, the number of them who had heart attack when they were 45 years old and died. Their contribution, yes, a lot of people have. So we have a museum of this person, just a 500-word write-up with some pictures of him and other him. This one. Because it's very important for a young country like Malaysia that we start something like this, so that 150 years from now we have a heritage. We can say where we are today is because of all these people who are. You go to our Taman Warisan. You see, that's why what Bobby does is get 2 or 3 friends to kick it off, build it. You see, and I told him, I said, you see, your father, he's passed away how long? Who remembers your father? He don't even remember. I said, in those days, in the 70s, Wong Ki Tat and Chong Kong Lim were the 2 big names in KL development. Chong Kong Lim doing the Sungai Wang Plaza and the hotel. It was called Regent Before region, what was it called? What was it? I forgot. It was something else. That's what I've been trying to think of. You see, like that day I went to PJ, you know, where, you see, like Hilton Hotel, that was
PJ Hilton?
PJ. It was called Jayapuri before. Yeah, Thrifties, then there was Asia Jaya. Yeah, now no more, you see. So you see, so I said, you see, if you have a place like that, named after you, then everyone say, hey, let's go to Wong Kee Tat Museum. So every day people go there, they'll be mentioning your father's name. Yeah, Coliseum is up for sale. No, but the Coliseum is a bit too small. Yeah, just that small block. But you see, you buy that, you can't do very much with it. There's not much development potential. But Barrow Sands got no money. And nobody's interested. You see, before Wailing took over, a bunch of people were there. They were all creaming off. They were all creaming off using Badan to make money. Yeah, even things like that. You don't talk, I tell corruption is so bad. You go to the clubs like Lake Club, Selangor Club, Lake Club for example. Every GC member that goes in there, all looking for money. Right? They always want to do a little project. 20,000, they pocket 2,000.
Oh my goodness.
That is the reality of Malaysia. That's how bad this country is. No, but then what the point is, you know, why do you need to do all that? I ask myself, if I allow myself 50 ringgit a day, can I finish everything?
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch and dinner. Is that enough to live on 50 ringgit a day? Of course not. More than enough. So why do I need 500? Or why do I need 5,000? You know, my whole life, I've never bought new cars. I've always bought old cars. I buy old cars. Then they start to sit there and rot. I'm looking for a mechanic to help me repair it. Yeah, they're both of them. They're same. They're MGBs. Yeah, you just burn a new piece of metal over it.